Good evening. Thanks for joining us. I'm Rick Lombardo. I'm the Rep's artistic director. This is our Ghostlight forum on Secret Order by Robert Kleiman. I want to introduce the three people to my left to you. So immediately to my left is Chris Smith, and Chris is directing Secret Order. Kayla and Anderson, please welcome Chris Smith. In the middle, I'm really pleased to introduce you and to welcome to the stage, and the first time to this stage at least, Sabina Reck. And Sabina is a PhD. She is the associate professor in the Department of Biological Sciences at San Jose State, our neighbor. Sabina Reck. To the left, all the way at the end, is Robert Krakowski. Now, Robert is playing Robert Brock in The Secret Order. You've also seen him here at the Rep previously in Hannah and Martin. So if you recognize Robert, say hello to him again, please. I chose Secret Order to be produced here at the Rep. Is that it meets a lot of my criteria for things that really turn me on in a play. Exciting writing, really interesting story matter, really interesting themes set in a really interesting world. Also for me, this play fed into some of my own personal interests, because before I became an artist and a director, I was a double major biology and psychology. I have a Bachelor of Science degree. I thought I would be a doctor. Some of that probably spurred by the fact that my dad, when I was an early teen, was diagnosed at a very young age with a very virulent form of cancer. And I spent a lot of time at Sloan Kettering Cancer Institute in New York City. Not very different from Hill Matheson Cancer Institute, Research Institute here in The Secret Order. So when I read Bob's play, I thought this was also a play for Silicon Valley, because it's a play about R&D. It's a play about, here's a problem, let's try to solve the problem. In this case, the problem is a big one, cancer. And we see these folks in this play who are desperately trying to figure out if the path that they have chosen is one that's going to lead to the very elusive potential cure. And that's generally the world and the plot of the play. Now, Chris, I want to turn a question over to you, because I know that you've been involved with this play from very early, and I want you to talk a little bit about that, about where this play came from and your time at EST. And then if you could fill in for us even more, tell us about the world of this play, the four characters in this play, and what the quest is that really is underlying the story here.
Well, I first got to know Bob Kleiman and the earliest version of A Secret Order probably about 8 years ago. I had been the founding program director of a project in New York City called the Ensemble Studio Theater Alfred P. Sloan Foundation Science and Technology Project. Yes, it was a mouthful. And the EST Sloan Project was designed to commission, develop, and produce new works for the stage, exploring the worlds of science and technology. And the Sloan Foundation, for those of you who are in the field, are very, very generous supporters of a whole range, predominantly of scientific and technological exploration, but also of, for instance, PBS for a lot of their series. And so it was a very generous grant to essentially encourage artists to find stories from the worlds of science and technology, and then when they do, to make sure that the science and technology presented is credible. And when we first began the program, the thing that was just immediately apparent was how many deep sort of minefields there were of fabulous material, rich, dramatic, exciting material, and also what a kind of cold wall of silence many audiences, felt they were going to meet. Like, oh my goodness, this is going to be eating my vegetables. And what was really exciting about the program and then about the evolution of Bob's play is how hot they are, how warm, how passionate, how human, how exciting. One of the mantras that I've carried with me about the production, which I assume you all are going to come and see, has to do with something that Rick said when he saw a run-through, which is, about not about Rob's character, but about another character in the place. Like, I love that because I saw his mind on fire. I'm like, yes, that's it.
And James, I know you're here. Where are you?
Oh, he is.
Right, you're
Nuts.
yeah,
Well, James Wagner's mind was on fire. And there's a passion, and there's a quest, and there's just a level of intensity and excitement around the pursuit of all the kind of wonderful, noble, glorious, commercial aspects of science. And it's just really, truly a remarkably potent area of drama. Anyway, Bob wrote an earlier version of this play, and we commissioned its further life. And in fact, I produced the off-Broadway production of A Secret Order, which was quite successful in New York and has had a variety of other productions. When I first was kind of introduced to the notion of doing it here in San Jose, I was immediately excited. But then I have to say that when I read the script, I was struck by how different it was from the script that I knew. And that speaks to both the nature of the evolution of drama, but also to Bob's skill at increasing the tension, increasing the pressure, and at making the very clear ethical dilemma that is the real beating heart of this ratchet up to the forefront in a more profound way. So what's this about? Well, there are 4 characters in the play. There's this brilliant young scientist who's a research scientist working in the heartland of America in relative obscurity, who essentially finds something that could be a revolutionary discovery about a means of curing cancer. Well, it comes to the attention of one of the scions of the scientific industry, played by Bob Brock, who is at the head of that institute that sounds like Sloan Kettering. So what is intended to be an internationally dominant research facility of the highest magnitude. And for those of you who are in the industry, you know what that means. But for the rest of us, we just understand that this is a place where miracles are intended to happen, and crushing pressure is also part of the daily life. Well, as our brilliant young man comes to New York to the high-pressure situation, both a tremendous amount of excitement and promise around his experiments comes to pass, as well as some concerns. And the play essentially is at the nexus of the pressure of commerce and science and industry and hope and a cure and everything that means. And what happens when some of the things that you think were going right start to go a little wrong. And so it's a very, very exciting drama. And it's also incredibly fast paced. The plotting just really moves along like a freight train, and suddenly you find yourself in this remarkable, very human dilemma, and not knowing where to turn and what will happen. And fortunately, we have a really tremendous acting company who gets to just sort of go through that every night for your behalf. And I hope that you will be a little tense and a little kind of on the edge of your seat, and then experience what one has to go through sometimes in the great catharsis of a dramatic event. Did I get anywhere near answering the question?
Yes, you did. Thank